Welcome to Power Up's Ask a Health or Fitness Expert podcast, where we have a variety of guests that volunteer to share their love of health and fitness. Could be products and services that are all good for us. A quick disclosure, this podcast does contain our own personal tips, advice, suggestions, and opinions. My honorary guest, Jake Weeks, is here with me to talk about back health and how it's harmful for sitting a lot. What do you got to say about that?
Well, sitting is kind of harmful. I don't think it's that natural of a position that our bodies evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to be in, especially considering that most seats aren't ergonomic. They're not designed to support the spine the way it's designed. For example, this couch behind me and most couches have like pretty soft cushions, and what happens is you'll kind of sink into them, and what happens then is that your spine is in forward flexion. It's not straight anymore. It's in a curved forward sort of C shape. And if you think about it, our spine is in that shape 90+% of our waking hours, certainly. And if you don't sleep on your stomach, if you sleep on your side or back, then probably almost 100% of the time, especially with a pillow. I mean, even with a pillow, you're forcing forward flexion on yourself at night. So you don't even get that break. From the time we're kids, we're told to sit still and sit in these really uncomfortable desks, and you're already nervous about moving a bunch because you don't want to look weird to those kids. And so we don't do the things that our body really should be doing, like moving and stretching and sitting in chairs that are ergonomically designed that, curve this way. So I don't even know if you can see me, but so my back's curved in an inverted C, the opposite of forward flexion, because that's what happens to your spine. It's not straight. There's a natural sort of inward curve on the lower back. And we just don't. There are some ergonomic chairs, but they're few and far between. And I'm surprised because they came out decades ago, and I'm surprised not every chair is made that way now. I just don't understand why people don't demand more comfortable seats. I think maybe they feel like they're relaxed more in this position, but all your muscles have to be tight and firing and working to hold you in that position. And then that causes all this problems with your back, this forward flexion, which causes imbalances, strengths in some areas, weaknesses in other areas, inflexibilities. And I believe honestly that the vast majority of people's back pain comes from being in forward flexion the vast majority of the time, not moving it enough, sitting still, sitting at a desk. What do you think? I mean, I know, like, even for our communiques, I sit on the floor a lot just because I like to be able to like shift around in some different positions. That's why I have the foot thing up. Like, I feel like I can do more things to my back with my feet up. I notice you sit in your chair a lot. Do you have, and I know you have back problems. So is that chair something to help? You seem like you sit up pretty straight in the chair. So you're not like too reliant on the back, but
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, before we got on, I wanted to get some numbers, some statistics, because I know you love numbers, but nearly 65 million Americans report a recent episode of back pain. I believe it's actually more personally, but some 16 million adults, which would be 8% of all adults, experience persistent or chronic back pain, and as a result are limited in certain everyday activities. Back pain is the sixth most common condition in the United States. And you're right, my back issues basically are a result of a couple of different things. But one of the biggest factors for what I've gone through was sitting. My previous career as an Allstate agent, I sat 9+ hours a day. I moved very little. In fact, I really wasn't taking care of my health in any way, shape, or form. I know that now. But, sitting is known as the new smoking, as they call it. And I think that's hilarious because it is true. It's extremely harmful. It results in lower calorie burn because you're just kind of sitting there, which is going to lead to weight gain. You will also lessen your muscle mass by sitting, which will slow your metabolism. Poor posture, as you've mentioned, will cause neck and back injuries that will lead to that because of the weakness. Less exposure to the sun is one that I put down, which means less vitamin D, which leads to sadness and depression, but also pain. So, sitting, like you said, improperly will put pressure on your back, your hips, your spine. Also, another thing that sitting does is cause varicose veins, which are extremely painful. And if you don't know what varicose veins are, they're the broken veins in your calves and your hamstrings and upper legs, lower legs, everywhere. But You know, it is. Sitting is extremely harmful. In fact, you see me sitting in this chair, but it's just, to kind of look cute and for the video and whatnot. But there are points in my day, things that I actually do that when I do them, I purposefully push the chair away and I do kind of like this squat position and stretching position with my chair nowhere to be even near me. But it's just kind of a habit that I've built. Okay, I'm doing this process, which takes, roughly anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. So I know for 2 to 5 minutes, I'm going to be doing this squatting, or then the next action, it's kind of more like a stretching thing. So I do different things to get my body fired up, meaning the glutes especially, because when you're sitting for long periods of time, your glute muscles go to sleep. And what happens when your glutes go to sleep, or any muscles go to sleep for a long period of time? Atrophy, right? So, and I do believe that a lot of what led up to my back problems and my back issues were sitting, for long periods of time, and lack of muscle, lack of flexibility, lack of strength, not just in my glutes, but my back, my core, my transverse muscles. In fact, I wrote down before we got on, a lot of people think when I say you need to strengthen your core, you need to have a stronger core. Well, core to a lot of people, they picture like a 6-pack or an 8-pack of abs, right? That's what they think of as core. Well, that's not true. Your core actually consists of your pelvic floor, your transverse abdominis, multifidus. How do you pronounce that, right? Did I say that right? Multifidus?
I don't know. I've never been one to spend a lot of time memorizing the
Oh,
obscure
I think
scientific names for these things.
Well, okay, so internal and external obliques, you know what that is. Rectus
Yep.
abdominis, erector spinae, their back, diaphragm, latissimus dorsi, glutamus maximus, and your trapezius. Yes, trying to use the fancy words here.
Yeah, you are.
The reality is,
I say butt and back, butt and back.
Butt, back, yeah, your butt and your back,
I'm
and your
just kidding.
core, and your abs, your girdle. Use your girdle. But these things are all extremely important. I guess what my point is, people are like, oh, okay, I sit all day, I need to go do a bunch of sit-ups. Not necessarily true. In fact, I never do sit-ups because I believe it puts a lot of pressure on my back. In fact, I even feel it. I'll do a crunch, but I won't do a full-on sit-up. There's so many other exercises that can build and strengthen your core. But, kind of back to the whole sitting and the whole topic of the day is, yeah, we need to put in our schedule, in our routine, ways to get up and move. Because yes, a lot of the things that I do for the majority of my day, or morning anyways, is sitting. But I always am getting up. I'm getting up, getting something to eat, getting something to drink, using the bathroom, but I'll pop in a few squats, a couple body squats, or do some stretching, because yeah, sitting for a long period of time is really harmful. I'm living proof of that.
It's honestly amazing to me how many people sit for the majority of their waking hours in their lives, honestly. And I feel lucky that, when I haven't been personal training, I've been bartending because I like being on my feet. I think working at a desk would be miserable. I had a chance to work in a cubicle at an oil company years ago in Denver, making good money. I just knew it wasn't for me to sit at a desk, no matter what kind of money I can make. One thing when I do have to sit is like when I drive, or if I feel like I'm going to be at a desk for a while, I'd like to not rely on the back. I like to use my own muscles to support my weight, and actually use all those core muscles you described, not the glory ones, but the ones inside, that really need to be strengthened. And that can really help when you drive. Actually, it's a really great way because of the turning. You're forced to engage different muscles as you go. I think that's an easy way to not let sitting be so impactful. Another thing you can do is a basic meditative technique of on the in breath, extend your spine like you're trying to sit as tall as you can. On the out breath, relax into that position. At least try and catch yourself doing that every now and then, and hopefully increasingly as you sit, so that if you sit with good posture, it can be a pretty good thing for you. You should still get up and move, and sitting's still not the ideal position. And thank goodness the guy invented Varidesk and whatever knockoffs there are. Like I've told you, when I work on my computer, I usually set it on the floor and I lay on my belly because I'm trying to undo that forward flexion in my spine. I feel like it's going to be it's a lifelong process to sort of counter all that forward flexion that we put our spine through. I know other people sit like on little balance balls and things. I know that forces you to engage a little more. I think even if you are just moving slightly on some sort of balance thing, like it forces things to move. And I think one really bad thing about sitting is you're locked in position, and it's just, your body's meant to move. When it's stuck in place, it sort of degenerates and it locks up and arthritis starts to take hold. But when you're moving, your body's growing and improving and adapting,
Right. Right. So how do you keep your core strong?
I should do more specific core activities. I find myself neglecting them sometime because I feel like I use them so much for basketball, rock climbing, mountain biking, so sometimes I don't target them as much. But I've said this before, there's this guy, Kelly Starrett. He's a movement expert. He's a CrossFit guy. He's I believe a doctor too, yeah.
Yep.
And he does Supple Leopard, but he talks a lot about just keeping his abs and his glutes, his gluteus maximus, as you like to say, slightly engaged like all the time. And I notice whenever I am able to do that, these things to me, when I hear them, they're like meditations. Like, they're good for you and you try them and you can do them for a few seconds. Like, this does work. And then it'll be days before you go back to it again. Then you do it again. You're like, why don't I do this more? But he said, if you can keep your abs and your glutes slightly engaged, like around 20%, and I notice it makes a big difference. It really does kind of subtly shift the spine into the right spots. Mm-hmm. And those really are, two main core muscles. Your glutes are part of your core muscles and things, all this whole area, your whole torso that connects your spine is part of your core that needs to be strengthened for spine health, in my opinion. So I think that's an easy one to do. Just try and keep a little flexion in your abs and glutes.
Are you doing it right now?
I am. I was squeezing. That's why I started talking like this.
Yes. No, I jokingly, it is true. And I love how you word it as a meditation. It is. That's a great way, a great thought, a good way to incorporate it is kind of making it something mindful, bringing your concentration into that. And I know for me, because I have had back problems and back issues, when I do start to feel a little tingling down my leg or a little bit of sensation of, back pains or things coming back to all that chronic pain that I had, I do that. I think for a second, am I engaging my core? Am I engaging my glutes? Have I done, and walking is actually really, really, really good for my back and core. I believe I noticed a tremendous difference. It's like, okay, have I walked today? Have I gotten in enough steps today? And just quite simply going in for a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be long, but when I come back, I feel incredible. It just releases that, and maybe that's what it is sitting and not engaging and not being mindful of my core. Just that one action, because the gym, as we're recording this is a day or so after Christmas, and not going to the gym for a couple of days, I'm starting to feel the tingling and the pains and stuff going on in my back. And what do? I'll be right back. 10 minutes. 10 minutes goes by super quick. You can listen to a podcast or whatever, go for a brisk walk, come back, and all of a sudden I feel 1,000 times better. Quite often when I talk to individuals that are experiencing any kind of back pains or issues, what do they end up doing? Their first reaction is, oh, I need to rest more. I need to curl up more. I need to sit more. And that's what they do. They hunker down instead of actually engaging those muscles. Because most often when I'm experiencing pains or aches or tingling, it's my muscles are contracting around my spine. And they just need to be loosened up. They need to be stretched. They need to be rolled out. They need to be given some attention and meditation, like a muscle meditation. I love that.
Well said, because I was struggling with some back pain for a couple of weeks. It was just like excruciating. And I realized that I was just so tense around one sort of big part of my vertebrae. And I really just had to spend a day just like working it out, and that helped more than anything. And I've always known that helps, and I really need to do it more. And that's why I'd say to people, an easy thing you can do is, instead of just sitting and watching TV at night where you're lounging like this, just do what feels good on your spine. Yeah. And if nothing else, and this is actually the way I teach people to dance too, it's a little weird, but find that place in your back that's like the most tense or that feels the best, just kind of stretch, and then notice, that move to a different part. And then, you can just kind of keep moving. Just like when you wake up in the morning, you first start doing this, but you're just doing it all around. I really feel like that is, your body will tell you what it needs and wants. And it will do it in a symmetric way too. Like if you just did that for a day, I think you'd spend an equal amount of time over here is over here is over here. Because your body intuitively, it tells you, it gives you little pain to tell you what it wants you to do. Get up, move around.
Yeah, because at the beginning of my journey of dealing with my back issues, first thing that they do is, and it even came out of my mouth, I don't want to have back surgery. I want to do everything I can do to avoid it. Now looking back on it, I wish I would have done it much sooner. But the first thing that they do is they have you go through physical therapy. And the whole time you're thinking, this doesn't seem to be the right thing to do. But reality is they're basically telling you without saying the words that your back, your core, your glutes are all, and hamstrings actually, I believe, come into play as well, are all weak and need to be focused. But actually what's interesting about it is they weren't. I actually had quite strong glutes, quite strong hamstrings. My core was weak because that wasn't the glory muscles. In the bodybuilding, you're always trying to build on these hamstrings and these glutes, especially in the categories that I compete in. And core is something that I had a coach that was basically emphasizing, don't work out your core, don't work out that, because it thickens those muscles and it makes you, not look as curvy. Poor coaching, poor training, poor suggestion. I know that now. But it is, I believe you need to do at least 3 minimum engagements of your core every single week, minimum, focusing on that core. Setting aside time and engaging your core and looking to improve your core, not just simply doing a plank and calling it quits, check that box, but actually looking to improve your strength, improve your stability, improve those muscle groups, which again are a lot of different muscles, but it's really, really important to have a strong core. Just plugging in the Christmas tree or picking a piece of paper up off the floor, you have to have a strong core.
That's true. That's great advice. Stretching and strengthening. A lot of these things come down to those 2 basics, do it in a nice, symmetrical, even way.
Right. So you're a personal trainer. You can work with somebody online. How would somebody get in touch with you and say, hey, Jake, I need to get started on a workout regimen. I want to get a stronger core like you guys have talked about in your videos. How would they reach you? How would they get in touch with you?
fitandhappyclub.com. You can get my phone number, call me. I'll do a free gait and posture analysis, 2 free sessions. So it's definitely worth the call.
Right. Yep. And as we're recording this in December 2019, I am going to do a challenge starting in January to basically get you from 0 to 2 minutes plank time. So it's a challenge that I'm launching. So if you're watching this video in December, I'll put a link below how to get on board with that as well. But any other last thoughts with sitting and back pain?
Move, don't sit still, invest in like a Varidesk or, move your computer around. Don't just put it on the desk. Yeah. Take care of your back. It really is so important to how you feel about every day.
Oh, you're right. It is. I'm telling you, severe back pain, chronic back pain. I experienced tunnel vision for years. It was after having surgery and getting things finally fixed after 2 surgeries. It was just like, wow, everything's so much brighter. I can see so much more. But living in chronic nerve pain, I don't care where the nerve pain is horrible. And I don't wish that on anyone. And for me, the saving grace was investing in a TENS unit. I love TENS units. They is a drug-free approach to reducing your back pain. So that's my last little tip of the day. And I will put all my contact information below along with Jake's. And until next time, thank you for tuning in, Jake, and being an honorary guest.
Thanks, Catherine. What an honor.
All right. Until next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Nice job.